Back in 2015, I believe, we kind of discovered something that no one really had tapped into at the time, and it was urban deer around Atlanta. We just kind of stumbled into it. That's honestly where we got the passion for bow hunting.
So I heard about Lee years ago in Seek One and how they were killing these giant deer in and around Atlanta and the cities, and I was always intrigued with that because I grew up a big woods hunter. And that was like the exact opposite of how I grew up hunting. But those guys have really perfected that, almost to the point where it hurts them because everybody wants to do what they're doing.
Lee and Drew, they're kind of self-made hunting guys. They didn't grow up in the culture of hunting necessarily. And, you know, a lot of people, especially early on, I think now it's less prevalent, but the idea was that in order to be a successful hunter, you needed a ton of land, or you needed to be, have access to a ton of land, or have friends who are farmers. Or basically, if you were just a guy that didn't have anything, you weren't going to be successful.
Started based out of Atlanta, but it seems like the more this advances and time goes on, it's broadening outside of that big time. I think I hunted like 6, 7, or 8 states last year.
I think I was 15 at the time when I first started the urban stuff, and I remember my mom literally driving me to people's houses to knock on their doors to get permission. And back then, there was no mapping apps. Like, everything was on the computer. We go to MapQuest and print out like paper maps that had property lines on it so we could see like who owned what. And we just have sheets and sheets of paper in our car to figure out like what doors to knock on.
I didn't grow up in like a hunting family. Like, my dad didn't hunt, my mom didn't hunt, no one in my family really hunted. Drew is kind of what got me into hunting. He comes from a hunting family. His family had like a little farm that they would go hunting at and stuff. And he and I became friends in 8th grade. You know, we would go to his farm on occasion. That was kind of like my first like small taste of hunting.
That was probably the biggest challenge for our style of hunting, because you have to know where property lines are and you have to know owners' names and really just like what houses to target. And so as soon as like the first mapping apps came out, it was an absolute game changer. Spartan Forge is taking that up several notches. Not only do they have the mapping side of it and the property lines, but the whole deer prediction and the AI side of it is something that's never been tapped into before. And honestly think it's limitless what you can do with that information.
Before Spartan Forge and like being able to mark my properties, like I lost track of so many properties that I had permission on. I would say most of the hunting we do is within an hour of a city. And Spartan Forge, now the imagery is continuing to advance, but there's the UAV layer that there's not better imagery out there than any of the competing apps on the market for these areas specific that we do our door knocking in and hunting in.
The feature of Spartan Forge that I feel really sets it apart from the other apps is the deer prediction side of the Intel tab. Most hunters are going out, they're collecting observation data from a specific location and only from the deer that they're seeing from their stand. And they're honestly relying on intuition to figure out what the deer is doing, where they should hunt, and when they should hunt. And so I think having that prediction side of things really supplements like your ability to just be instinctual in the field and know that you're making the highest percentage decision every time you're going out into the woods.
It's been a really cool journey. I still wake up a lot of times and I'm like, this is really happening. And I just feel like so many different people deserved it more, were more qualified rather, I think is what I'm trying to say. So finding this and just, you know, making your passion something you love doing, your work. I mean, not to sound cliche, but it's literally like a dream come true.